Hey everyone, I'm back from Brazil. Still getting over a head cold, a sinus thing. I at first I was worried that I got an ear infection from the Amazon or something, and so I kind of went through that. Turns out it's a head cold, so a lot of sinus stuff going on. Haven't been able to film much. Need to do a voiceover. There's so much footage from Brazil, but it's all underwater, and so uh, figuring out what style I'm gonna do. It's kind of a weird thing to try and piece together the few land footage, above water I have, and then all of the below water I have. So there's over 1,000 videos. They might be like a minute each, roughly, but that's still lots and lots of footage. Basically, we're in the water for 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on how early we got started, every day, and so we were there filming for 12 days. So it's a lot of footage. Um, yeah, so someone said I'm tan. Yep, had to shave so that the mask would fit and wouldn't leak in water. So there was lots of stuff that had to be done there. And yeah, I got tan on my hands for sure. Like I'm actually peeling on the backs of my hands um, from holding this little camera right here. So most of my time was spent holding a little camera underwater, kind of balancing with in a river, and so yeah, I learned a lot. I was pretty ready from training with my personal trainer, but what actually ended up being a problem was the little muscles in your legs, like your abductors and your other things. So like not the quads, not the like the hamstrings or anything, but the tiny little stabilizer muscles. Even though I do a lot of work on a Bosu ball, I didn't realize, because I had never done it before, that in the river I would be finding like sticks and logs to balance on, and then kind of be, your feet might be right in front of each other or kind of angled real weird, and you'd be doing that for hours trying to get the footage while holding it stable. So I'm doing this, but really it's like this, and like water would be happening, and so you're doing that, and after day one I was like, oh man, my legs, the little muscles are beat, and then a little bit of lower back pain from the way you snorkel and stuff. So I think that's core strength. So we're gonna work on that for next time. But overall went well. So that was the cool part. Some stories have been told in the Deep in the Mullen podcast, which if you haven't watched that, I made the first 3 episodes available for the public. So now we're at 36 or 35 or something like that. We do it every week. And so if you want to get a sample of that, you can check it out, watch the first 3 episodes, and then decide if you want to kind of join and support what we're doing. We go off topic a lot. We talk about business a lot. We talk about fish a lot, all of those things. And that's where some stories from Brazil happened, because I had that right after getting back. So, 2 days after getting back. I got back last Friday late at night. And so now it's been about 9 days, and it doesn't seem like that. I've been doing a lot of sleeping and just trying to get through this crud. And I'm mostly through it. Like I don't feel sick, but I can hear it in my voice. And in the morning, I have to, I'm drinking broth and I'm taking a hot shower, like trying to get out of my head so I can live life today. And so, but it gave me a little bit of time to work on this live stream setup. So I've got a different camera we're trying out. We've upgraded from hamsters to a full-on guinea pig at this point, and I've got some more stuff coming to try and help with that. It did overheat once, made it through one 2.5 hour test fine, then it overheated last night, but I might have been like 3 or 4 hours. I was just working and letting it run. So I've got a fan to attach to it that I'm going to try to make sure that we're good to go. I installed, I took your guys' advice again, where whenever I complain about glare when filming, people are like, you gotta get a polarizing filter. So I bought, you know, a pretty expensive one after doing research, like the best one from someone I trust in cameras, and it totally did nothing, unfortunately. Like I was trying to take care of some glare on this, and I was like, all right, this is a perfect use case because the camera's not going to move, and it's coming in at a 45-degree angle. I tried moving the camera around, all the things, and I'll turn the guppy rack back on. You'll see the glare that I was trying to get rid of. Did it make it slightly better? Slightly, but it didn't change the fact that I have to turn it off. So, um, in my experience, people always suggest like, oh, to get rid of the glare, you need polarizing filters. I understand the concept. In practice, for video, it's dang near impossible. I understand for a picture, you're setting up one shot, you can change the angle, but from a run and gun type of setup, I haven't been able to master it. That doesn't mean that you haven't. Maybe you're really good at it and I just don't understand it yet. I usually fiddle with it for a couple hours, and then I go, I can't get this to work. I got to move on. And so, oh, that's why I'm not in the fish room. I was like, I can't find the tanks to turn on. But if I turn those on, you'll see them pop up. Yeah, like right here now. So now you can see like this glare all the way. Those are 14 aquariums. And the 800 gallon does the same thing. And so I was hoping that by installing a good polarizing filter, I've spent times with it, can't get it to do it. So just back to turning it off. All right. Let's see. What do we? Let's see. What is audio off? Let's see. Video and audio are slightly off. That could be. I haven't tested for that. There might be an offset. However, there's also a YouTube did a big update, so the whole interface to live stream is different than it's been, and so. But I will definitely look into that and go, okay, what potentially is going on here? There might be some syncing issues or something like that. So, but good to know because I always try to fix that. Did I happen to see any Altum Angels in Brazil, or were they Scalare? I'd have to review the footage. I believe Ultums. They're, yeah, I think so. They're very long, but without the problem is like angelfish were very elusive. So you'd see them, you kind of film them, and they'd go away, and then you'd have some water clarity issue problems or sunlight problems sometimes. So I didn't, when I was filming them, I was kind of filming them where I'm really focused on, am I capturing this? Not so much, let me analyze this. And a lot of other fish I was able to do that because they would stick around, or I got enough attempts to enjoy them for me as not filming it. And so, but yeah, I think Ultums, if you guys haven't, you can watch the video on Chris Lukup's channel. He put out a little teaser, and I believe there's some angels in there. It's got over 20,000 views, which is real funny because at first I was like, oh no, that's not very good. The first night it had like 390 views, and I was like, oof, that's rough. Like I was hoping the footage would kind of do better than this. And then, like not a month, so a couple days later, I was like, okay, 2,000, like that's something, I guess. And then I happened to just be looking at it today because someone mentioned it, and I was like, 20,000. I was like, wow, that did way better than we would have thought. Because someone had mentioned the electric eel story, which Chris teased. He filmed me after talking to me for like 5 minutes, and so that little teaser is there, which is good because he got that above land with his camera, which means I can build it into the story that I'm going to tell on video. But the short version of it was basically of the things to worry about in the water. It was water snakes, electric eels, and then stingrays, and then very large groups of piranha, which piranha were everywhere. So, but I didn't run into too many very large groups of piranha, so that was good. But on like the second or third to last day, I ran into a very large electric eel. On camera, it probably won't look that big, but it was 4 or 5 feet, like pretty big and solid. Luckily, it was like 10 feet away from me, and I recalled, what they said. They're like, just don't spook it. That's the whole thing. Like, if it feels threatened, that's when it does the electrical shock. And so, I filmed it for like 10 seconds, kind of, and then I was like, I need to move like this, and especially because it started moving, and then it started coming towards me, which you don't get to see on camera. So, and then just imagine in a cartoon, like where someone is swimming, and then eventually they're just like above the water. I swam as fast as I could, kind of back to the meeting area because I couldn't see where it was going, and people do die from it. So it electrocutes and stops your heart or something like that. And we were very rural, like hours to get to a small grocery store rural. So there wasn't. We drove by, and I don't think I filmed it. We drove by one of the local hospitals, and it was like someone's house, and there's a bunch of people lined up. Like they're if Corey gets having a heart attack from an electric eel, it's not looking good. Um, and we were, what was kind of a cool stat that I hadn't realized till the very end. We were turning the car in. Daniel, one of the guides there, Daniel and Juliana were the people that hosted us. Um, they said we drove 1,200 kilometers all off road, basically, like not on pavement. And so you'll see some scenes where there's some serious off roading going down to get to some of these places. And we only had this small SUV that was not all wheel drive or anything. And it really showed me, living in America, you think like, oh yeah, that's what cars are designed for. And then you realize like I have an all wheel drive vehicle, and what I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. Like seeing what we were able to pull off without all wheel drive in a small SUV brings a confidence level much, much higher of like, okay, well, if we're doing this in other countries, having a winch and better tires and a little bit of a lift and all wheel drive, I could start doing some real crazy stuff. I mean, at one point we literally broke the car. A piece had fallen off. We got a mechanic to like repair that and get that back on, so we didn't get charged for it, but we did get charged with a fee for cleaning because it was a very dirty, muddy car by the time we were done with it. Getting back in, going to the next spot, you're covered in mud, and you kind of just have to embrace that of like, yep, you're gonna sit in your own, filth for the next 2 hours to the next spot, or to get home or whatever it was. And yeah, you would try to wash off as much as you could, but at a certain point, there's just a lot of, you can be clean, you walk back to the car, you hike back to it, and there's going to be stuff on the shoes, and you try to like rinse that off, but you don't have a whole lot of water because drinking water is only bottled. And then again, you're hours away from a store, so it's not like you have unlimited amounts. And so, yeah, you just kind of embrace that part of it. Am I keeping up with the hard boiled egg lunch routine? Yeah. So in the Deep in the Mullen, we explained that most lunches were hard boiled eggs, maybe a sandwich from breakfast where it was egg and butter basically, and without there being fridges, with there being so many ants and bugs, like if you brought too much stuff, your entire backpack would be engulfed. I thought I'd outsmarted him one time, and I hung my backpack up on a like a branch. And when I got back out of the water at lunchtime, I was like, oh, I've just created a trail of ants of 40,000 billion ants that are all in my backpack. So I spent 20 minutes like, how am I getting these out without getting bit and stung? And the food was covered in it. So, yeah. So hard-boiled eggs, they don't have to be refrigerated. They don't really go bad. You can just make them in the morning, and then you peel them and eat them. And there's a lot of other things like what about fruit? Like really attracts the bugs, but also you don't have water to rinse it. If you rinse it in the tap water has bacteria. That's what gets you sick. And I tempted fate. I talked about it like the last day we were gonna film. The night before, we're like, yeah, we did pretty well. Like, no one really got that sick. Chris Lukup got sick like 3 times a little bit at night because he kept eating like the salad and stuff at dinner, and he kept doing it to like prove it. I'm like, well, I don't know if it was that. So by the 3rd time, he's like, okay, it is that. I'm like, I told you it's that. We've done this before. And I hadn't gotten sick at all, and so I was like, yeah, that's so surprising. All of us always get sick. And then, of course, the next day I came down and felt horrible. I was getting real bad stomach cramps and everything. And, there's a whole story. Maybe I guess I could tell it now. I don't know, but I don't think I have footage of it. But so last day, Chris goes out to film because I'm trying not to die. And we drive Chris into the National Forest, which is about 45 minutes away. And there's like this little shop that I want to buy from, a gift for Katie. And because I was looking for something, it's hard to find, like, not only are we hours away from a grocery store, but it's hard to, like, what am I going to bring back? I can't just bring back, like, look at this stick or look at this fish. So I had to find something to buy, and I wanted to support this little town. So they made some jewelry and some other stuff, but the thing I ended up bringing back was coasters. And the coasters were made from silicone or the rubber tree, and the locals made them. So they're legitimately made from, like, rubber trees, handmade, didn't go to a factory. And they cost about $10 US, which would have been a lot of money for that community. But the story goes, like, I'm there and I'm shopping, and I'm still just like holding my stomach, just like, oh, I feel terrible, like this is painful. I was getting sharp pains and everything, and I already taken like some Imodium, some anti-diarrhea meds and everything. And so I'm like shopping. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna get these. I gotta go. Like this is I gotta get back to a bathroom. And meanwhile, you wouldn't know this unless you've listened to some of the stuff, but the plumbing in Brazil is much like Peru, and you can't flush toilet paper, and there's not always running water, and so I get back to the car and it's locked and there's nobody there, and I'm like, okay, what is going on? And so I find Juliana, and Juliana's like, oh, Daniel's over here talking to some of the locals, because the locals, we had hired some to like bring us out on boats, and we were kind of building a good rapport with them, so that was cool. But they decided to give them a plant. And so they were going to bring that plant. They live in Brazil full time, to their state, as it's called. And so they were getting that plant. They got it like kind of potted up or whatever. And so, but meanwhile, I'm dying. I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. Like, this is not good. And it's one of those situations where you're like, I'm not sure I'm going to make it, just one of those like, ah. And so eventually I get up the courage and I'm like, all right, is there a bathroom I can use here at this person's home, right? And the homes, let me put in perspective, they're dirt floors. They're like, yeah, there's walls and stuff, but it's, there's some power. And so, because I see the bathroom, I see like the outhouse, and I'm like, could I use that bathroom? As I'm asking Juliana, who then translates to Portuguese, and they say, yes, but go a block that way. Those bathrooms have water. We don't have any water for this one right now because it hasn't been raining enough, and we're in the dry season, and it's not just normal plumbing in this small village in the national forest. So I'm like, okay. And so now I'm doing the walk, and I'm at the point where you're doing the walk. You're like, this could turn out to be a disaster. Like, okay, gotta get over there. Also, this happens to be the day that the little community did like a communal breakfast. So everybody's in the town center. And when I say that, it's like all 25, 30, 40 people are there. Like, that's the whole town at this point. And so Juliana comes with me. She's asking, and she's like, can you use the bathroom? And like, yep, I get the A-OK to use the bathroom. Awesome. So I go to the boys' baño, and it's locked. Oh, okay. And I can't speak Portuguese, so I can't be like, hello, is there somebody in there? So I kind of knock a little bit, and nothing, getting nothing. So, okay, screw it. I am at the point where there's going to be an accident in my pants. I go into the women's restroom. It's just one toilet. There's no lock on the door, by the way. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm using the bathroom. Someone's going to bust this door open like the Kool-Aid Man, and there's going to be me sitting in the ladies' bathroom. So I do my business, right? It's not great. Envision, it's not quite the Dumb and Dumber scene where visits like the girlfriend's bathroom, whenever it's destroyed, but not far off. And so luckily there was some toilet paper, and but like halfway through this ordeal, right, where I'm just like, uh-oh, it's not great. I'm like, all right, I know the plumbing is kind of bad in Brazil. I'm like, I'm a flush. I'm a flush just to make sure that I'm not leaving a problem. And so I flush, and it kind of flushes, flushes some water. I'm like, okay, all right. So then, I finish up, and I'm using the toilet paper, and it's got to go in the trash can, can't go in the plumbing. And I go to hit the button again to like flush. No water at all. Like, oh no, like this is not good. Uh, so I kind of like I wait a little bit. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do here? There's no water, like, and it's not refilling. You like pull the thing, and I'm like, it's not doing anything. Like I don't know how to get water back into this back of this toilet. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not great. I close the lid. I take $5 out of my wallet, and I just put it under the toilet paper on the top of the thing of like, and $5 is kind of a lot of money. So it's I'm hoping that the person that stumbles upon this and goes, oh man, that dumb American, uh, knows like, oh yeah, you gotta prime the like a lot of the systems work on the premise that you got to turn the generator on and that'll run the pump to move the water to refill the bathrooms. And so they'll do that. They'll get their $5, and hopefully they won't be angry. And so then I get outside, I come out, and I'm like, sweet, there's a sink. Open it up, not a drop of water comes out of the sink. So I can't even like wash my hands. I'm like, great. So then I walk back to the car, and I'm like, all right, I need to get home. Like I'm still it's one of those ones where you could have been on the toilet for like the next 2 hours, like your stomach's cramping, you're just kind of like dying. But I forgot one of the aspects. It's like you're in a porta potty outside when it's 100 degrees because it's 100 degrees. So you're sweating and you're just dying in this like basically a porta potty that doesn't have water or flush, and the garbage cans filled with used toilet paper. And so at some point I'm like, all right, this is good enough. This is good enough to get the 45-minute ride home back, I think. So we get in the car and we're driving back, and we still gotta go through like the checkpoint where they're monitoring people coming in and out with the guards, and not, I don't know if a guard's the right word, but so then I get home, and or not home, but back to the place we're staying, and I just live in the bathroom in my bed for the rest of the day of just like trying not to die. And by the end of the night, I could keep some food down again, so that was good. But I didn't go back with Chris to pick him up because I didn't want to get back in that situation, and I can never go back to that community again because that bathroom, you know, not great. So yeah, it was one of those like the last day of like, oh yeah, so didn't even get sick. That being said, that situation was still miles better than having the same problem, uh, in the middle of the jungle with no bathroom at all. So it's still better, but it's one of those like I was in my mind. I'm like, all right, I've been in here for like 10 minutes. Am I gonna walk out of this bathroom and the entire community is just looking at the white guy, going, "You going into the women's bathroom? You've been in there a long time." And then I could just imagine like the stories, like that guy didn't even flush. So hopefully the $5 is the is enough to be like, all right, it wasn't horrible. The guy at least felt bad about it. And of course, the whole way home, by the way, is off road. Like it's a road, but there's no pavement, and so it's like you're just bouncing all around. And so when you're watching the videos that I put out, and I show how crazy the driving is. Now imagine you've got sharp stabbing pains and diarrhea, and you've got a 45-minute journey home without exploding. So just think back to that, going, oh wow, that was a ride back to the accommodations. So yeah, that's it's hard to encapture the whole experience because a lot of times you'll just see the cool pictures or the video, and you don't get to see like what it took to get that, how many hours I had to sit there, or what was going on. So yeah, but yeah, that story, it's one of those ones where it's like while living through it you also know that you're gonna tell that story because it's so ridiculous that it's got to be told, of like everyone knows that nightmare scenario, and there you are living it in this small community on the Tapajos River, in a national park where, yeah, people the place is so small, they don't have gas stations. So if you need gas, you go to someone's home that has a few gas cans that went to the main gas station they could get to. And since everyone rides like motorcycle and stuff, you just like 1 gallon of gas, or some liters of gas. But yeah, very very small community, and yeah. So I was just hoping that I wouldn't have to have like, yep, I had an accident and now I got to ride back to where I am for 45 minutes. So yeah. So that apparently that's the long story I tell from Brazil that may or may not make it into video. It depends if I have like a good clip, because I've got some of the stuff of the little village there, but not that day. That day was just avoid complete disaster. There was no let me document this for everybody. Before I go on to some more stories and answering some of you guys' questions, I've got some new products that I need to tell you. So brought to you by Aquarium Co-op, where you can buy all of your aquarium needs, mostly. For wintertime, we've got a couple of new hoodies, or not, I keep calling them hoodies, beanies. We've got this one here that's got the part you flip up. So we got this one. And then we've got like the much smaller type. This is more of my style. I like the smaller one. So stay warm while you're not in Brazil. A couple of beanies keep you over for the week, or the winter there. Now, you've been asking when it was going to happen. The Aquarium Co-op canister filter prototype has arrived. I'm just kidding. We didn't make a canister filter. Instead, this is just a very cool fancy box prototype for an even worse business decision. We're real good about not making good business decisions here. And by not good, I mean, like if a private equity company bought us or something, they would never do this. The fact that I get to own it and I go, yeah, let's put some money there. That seems like a smart idea with tariffs, and now's the perfect time to launch ridiculousness. So it's not available yet. This is our one prototype. Gotta put it down because it's so big. It's so heavy now. Ugh. This is now the Aquarium Co-op version of Gigantisponge with coarse sponge, green acrylic tubes. You know how cheap green acrylic tubes are? I got the answer for you. Not cheap. Green plastic, green weighted base. So now these could be at stores as promos. Well, once we get them, this is the one. We had to get one sent over to be able to like take pictures and start working on the product package, so it's not just a brown box. Because for a display purpose, I envision this like way up high behind the counter at people's fish stores. It's the Holy Grail sponge filter, gigantic, and we'll try to sell some, but they were much more expensive than I was anticipating. I was thinking like, how expensive could that thing be? And I think I got it for like $30 when I got my original one in China, and I carted it all the way back. By the time you ship it, you do all that, it's way more expensive. So they're gonna have to be like $75 or $100 for this novelty item. However, we did spend money, and they are functional. Not that you're ever gonna want to have to clean this thing, but like even the top part. Let me get this in front of the camera here. But even the top part, like they're real parts, like that. That shows you what way to screw it off and everything. Like, and then you could put the Aquarium Co-op Airstone in there. Like, we didn't go all the way because we started looking at it, this is going to be like a lot of money in molds, like a lot more. And so we kind of went halfway there to like all the visible parts. But this part, like the internal, is PVC. It's been tapped so you can screw into it and everything. I didn't want to spend another $5,000 just to make this part, just in the mold. So, but yeah, how's that for big sponge filter. So yeah, hopefully these will launch like, I don't know, either first like January or maybe in December. It all depends on well well, yeah. So two things. One, we've had these made, but they're on the way still, but haven't had packaging made yet. So that's a whole different animal that we're still trying to tackle here. So yeah, kind of a cool thing that you can't even buy one yet. I just wanted to show it off because it came in the mail yesterday. So like I've had it for less than 24 hours. And it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, you can hook up your air right to there. And originally I was thinking like, well, how much would it cost to go with the whole Easy Flow system? And to make all those parts are going to be like another $30,000 in molds. And I'm like, okay, this little gag thing that's already bad for me business wise, we're now spending an additional 30 grand to do this bad investment. But I love to do the crazy things that most companies won't do, and I like to follow up on, like, over the last 10-12 years on YouTube. If you've been watching for a length of time, crazy ideas, they start as crazy and then they become a thing down the road. And so there's a lot of projects that, someday I'm gonna do, and then it happens, and it might be 5 or 7 years later. But I think that lends to some credibility of when I'm like, I think we're gonna do this. It might take a long time, but we will do it when it makes sense. As in, can we find the right partner? Do we have the enough money? Do we have an idea that makes it better? Like, whatever it is. So how many gallons is that rated for? 5.5 gallons. Yeah, they go in 5-gallon tanks. Is that one not bigger than the one I brought back from China? I don't know. I have to compare them. It looks bigger. It's way across the room, though, but I haven't compared the two between them. So I wouldn't be surprised if somehow it is bigger. Like, oh, yeah, that one wasn't big enough. Let's make it even bigger. Yeah. Does it weigh 15 pounds? It weighs a lot. Like, I already know the shipping of it to someone's home is... It's like shipping a canister filter. So it's going to be like $30+ to ship it to someone's home. So, it's not a cheap product, but this is definitely one of those things. I already know this. This is definitely one of those products that there's going to be a window to buy it, and then it's going to live in your fish room or wherever, your store, and people for years to come are going to say, like, where can I get one of those? And the answer might be like, oh, you can't. It was like they did this crazy thing. They made no money on it. It made no sense other than Corey wanted to do it. And for however long that train goes for, I don't even know how many we bought. It was not a lot. I want to say we ordered like 100 of them or something so far. And we're talking many, many thousands of dollars went into this. So it's like, Randy came to me like, how much do you want to spend on this? And I was like, oh, like how expensive are we looking at? I was like, oh, okay. Let's spend like $5 grand on this first order of these ginormous sponge filters that don't make us any money. And there's that portion. And then there's also they're going to take up a lot of space in a cargo container part of it too. So yeah. Yeah, will our battery powered air pump run that thing? I mean, it'll put some air through it, but it wouldn't be what I would consider adequate if you were actually trying to use that. I would say you need to go to like bigger air pump that we don't sell, linear air piston pump. Yeah. I think less than half will ever actually be used. I think they're more of just, and that's why I want to get the box so cool. I want to try to make a really cool box for it, because I do think it'll be, like a collector's edition type of thing, I guess. So we'll see how it pans out. Like, we still working on artwork and stuff. So yeah, I don't know when it'll actually launch and if it'll launch, and this still could be one of those things of like, failed to launch because of we realized, what if we get to the point where we go to ship and you're like, there's $72 to ship each? Like, are you kidding me? Like, no one's gonna pay $200 to ship, or not ship it, but buy this thing or whatever. The original intent is find a way that it'll make sense for stores to get them and then offer it so that some other people could maybe get some. My wife's bringing me broth. Are you bringing me the sponge filter too? All right. My wife's bringing me some broth to help with the voice, and then we'll compare sizes here. Let's see. Am I running quiet? I could be running a little quiet. Yeah, it could be my voice too. My voice is definitely. You're holding it weird. Yeah, that is hot. Ew. Ew. It's already helping. Thank you.
That is bigger.
Yeah, that one. So it's on my desk here. Definitely bigger. There's no doubt about the bigger part. This is the medium extra large, and this is the large extra large. Like, yep.
Look at the quality of the sponge.
That's, well, yeah. I mean, this is fine foam, which I don't like, and this is the biggin. So, ow. They're heavy enough that I like bash my fingernails in as I'm trying to set them down. No, I got it.
Are you just gonna hold them?
Here, I'll send that one back to its home. And this one, yeah. All right, let me try turning up the audio a little bit. And I was trying to work with that. Testing. Let me know if it's blowing out. That looks like it's blowing out a little bit. Testing. There we go. Let's see if that. That's right. The other size. Yeah. I've got a collection of sponge filters, if you didn't know. Now we also have this sponge filter right here. I think I forget who made it. Was it the guy that makes the trading cards? Did he send it? I think he might have sent it.
Either he sent it or
yeah.
Someone gave it to you while you were doing that.
It's like an earring. Oh, we need some sponge filter earrings. Yeah. All right. I've been working on, I mean, you wouldn't know it, but this microphone is like a $1,500 microphone. I'm trying to get it, I don't know, I like to be loud, but I like it to also be off the screen. By the way, we sell Aquarium Co-op mugs. I think this one's a prototype version, though. I can't remember. You end up working on so many versions. Was this the final version, or was this the one of the prototypes? So, all right. What else am I working on besides Brazil stories? I've been working on this. This is a thing that I'm trying to do for free or crowdsource, whatever you want to call it. This is a 3D printed light housing that I'm working on. The goal is I wanted a very wide light, and then I want to put strip lights, like LED strip lights in here, and see how that works. And so we've made some pieces, which we haven't released to the public yet or anything. We're still working. It's still version 1, still my first test. But the pieces kind of go together, snap together. And, you know, one end's got space for cords, one doesn't. And I'm hoping what I'm trying to pull off is anybody could 3D print their own housing, and then you could buy some LED lights off of Amazon or the internet and build your own lights. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, we need a co-op sponge filter Halloween costume. I said that to my wife last night. I said when I opened it, I said this thing's so big, like I need it to be like a hat, and then I need to get a one of like. Could you imagine a piece of foam that was big enough that I was on the inside and it was around me, and then I had that as a hat? It'd be ridiculous because I couldn't transport in like any car. I'd have to like get a U-Haul if I was going to a party or something. But nobody else would pull that off. Like if it was actual sponge material, yeah. So I took Corey's official lights. Now he's piecing together at home edition. We're still working on it, by the way. Like Randy, we're in contact. We're sending one of our lights to a Vietnamese manufacturer, and so we're gonna see how close they can kind of get to it and how we can make it better and the ways I want to make it better. We're still working on these things, but it's tough. Like someone mentioned, like, oh, Aquarium Co-op's doing okay. They can spend some money on that. Like we're not going out of business tomorrow, but sales are down a lot. Like the economy, people are just spending less. Like if your fish have to eat, yeah, you'll buy food, but you're not trying the latest new product. You're not trying the next thing. Um, and so there's just less money to go around to do things. So, yeah. Um, Kyle made the keychain filter. I think he did. I think he did. I can't remember. So let's see more stories from Brazil. Seeing angelfish was magical, by the way. Like it made me change the way I think about angels. In that, before all fish were fish to me. Like, yeah, those are cool. Live bears are cool. Angels are cool. Cichlids are cool. Rosy barbs are cool. And then I started really thinking about it in that how rare they were to see in the wild. And that was kind of interesting. And that they really have a unique body shape. So there's so many tetras. We'd see tetras all the time. But then the angels really stood out as different. And so I started thinking about that. And I was like, these have been a classic fish for so many years. And I never really understood why. I like them, and I've kept them and I've bred them, and yeah, but I never understood it until I saw them in the wild. And then as you're sitting there like filming something or waiting, you move there, you sit there for an hour or two, not an hour or two, but like 45 minutes, and then you start filming because the fish will come back out. It allowed me time to think about it, and I was like, angelfish, they look so different. They stand out to the average person. If I show you 15 different tetras, you all go like, yeah, they're different colors. They look different, but they're all the same. Where and I started thinking about like, what are the fish that break that mold? Like angelfish do, kind of swordtails do. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Let's say you had a group of tetras. Let's say you had just pick something basic like cardinal or neon tetras. And then you had like red swordtails and then angelfish. That tank all of a sudden already looking cool. 3 distinct different body sizes and coloration and all of that. And I was like, I get it now. I see why angels have been so popular for so many years, because they are just different. And I hadn't thought about that ever. It was just like, yeah, angels are cool. They look cool. But the fact that they really will stand out and look different in an aquarium, I think I hadn't really thought through. What heater would you recommend now that you can't buy yours? None. None. What I mean by that is, so like I've got a couple Eheim, brand new Eheims out there, and when I go to shoot the video on how much power does heaters use and how big of a difference does the tops make, lids on your aquariums, they're so uncalibrated. And I know there's a whole process for you to calibrate them, but I set both of them to 70 degrees, and they're in 2 totes side by side. One ran at 68 and one ran at 80. So that I had to really crank them back and all of that. And it's like, even though they're have had very good versions of heaters over the years. I don't think there's a heater out there that I can confidently go, this is good value. This will perform the way you need it to for a long period of time. And the more that I play with aquariums, we're at like 20 years at this point, the more I honestly think that, how do I say that? Of the, how many people are in chat? Of the 359 people in chat right now, I think 300 of you don't need an aquarium heater, myself included. There are some species, and I think when you make a statement like there's some species, right? There's some species. Most people go, this must be the species I have. I currently, let me think if I have a species that I actually think has to have heat. No. I don't think I have a single species that I think I need to have a heater. I don't run, let me make sure that's true. I don't have any heaters in here except for the fry tank, but that's out of fear. I believe we're using heaters out of fear. And what I mean by that is, well, if I buy this device and I add it in, they won't get too cold and get sick. However, we're not factoring in, like, well, what about when it fries and heats up all the fish and kills them? Like, that's a problem too. Someone said rams need them. Like, well, yeah, maybe. And here's where the maybe comes in. If you're buying a ram that has been bred in very hot water, it will need hot water. If you buy one that comes out of the wild, it won't be nearly as hot. So, for instance, wild-caught discus in my store, we don't add heaters or anything, and they thrive. Stuff from Malaysia, you don't keep them at like 85, they start falling apart. And so when I say people don't need heaters, it is a chicken and the egg scenario of the more breeders, the more farms, the more things that are keeping stuff at high heat, the more we also need to do that. The less that are doing it, the less that we'll all need to do it. And so, like, in the video that I put out this week that not very many people have watched, but like I've got swordtails that live down in the mid 40s, right? So I'm going out of my way to work with more fish that will be cool water. I don't even know if I want to call it warm water, hot water, cool water. I think I need to reframe it, kind of like cycling an aquarium, seasoning an aquarium. Instead of, is it a hot water, cold water, cool water fish? I think it just needs to be, I keep all the fish without heaters. There's people that will say, like, in books, and myself, I've said this too, that goldfish don't like being hotter or they don't want to go warmer. And yet you'll go to Florida and people in their ponds, it's like the water temp is 90 degrees. And it's like, well, they've been doing that for 15 years. That, to me, that's doing just fine. I just think that from talking with others that are passionate about what I'm talking about right now, like not using heaters and have been pushing the bounds and seeing what can happen, I think the first thing that we do is when something does go wrong and you're not using a heater, you go, ooh, they must have got too cold. However, we don't know that. And so we're predisposed to add heaters back when something goes wrong. But in my experience, I don't see fish not doing well from cooler temperatures. Caveat, that didn't come from crazy, crazy hot temperatures to begin with. And so I think when I took temperatures when I was there out in the wild, and for the most part, yeah, a lot of the temps were in the 80s. In fact, at one part, I tested the water and there was some fish, and it was 103 degrees. But it was the same species of fish that was living at 80 and 82 and 90 and 92. And so I also took footage and tested, from the top of the water might have been 82, but the bottom of the water was 74, and the fish swam through it like it was nothing. not 74. Uh-oh. Internal temp high, start cooling. We'll swap over to this camera. So now you've got the worst camera, but I wonder why that only made it 49 minutes. Huh. At least I had the backup. So guinea pig off, hamster back on. What is it showing? Oh, more product. Anyway, yeah, room temperature. I've tried room temperature, but it always devolves into oh well here I keep my thing cold, or oh you don't have to deal with old buildings or this or that, and so it's like that doesn't do it either. Like there was someone left a comment that they were keeping their guppies in like the 50s in their house or something like that. And I was like, what if you have extras? I would love to get some of these. Because someone said, I'm so scared to get my guppies too cold, so I heat my room. Don't get me wrong, I heat my room also. But not really for the fish, it's for me. I keep my house and my fish room at 72 because that's where I feel comfortable. And there's always going to be people like, I would die at 72. I keep it at 46, and I'm such a burly person. Everyone's got their own, do you run warmer? Do you run cooler? There's all kinds of stuff, right? I think the big thing that I'm working towards in this, call it unheated or whatever, is what if we could just remove the piece of equipment, a heater, from an aquarium? I think that's just the first step. Like, oh yeah, then use a room heater if you want, or and it's not even that you have to. So often people don't realize that you're still heating your aquarium. The lights add heat, the canister filter, the hang-on back, the power head, all of those add heat. And I intend to do some more videos kind of like the canister filter to show that. The biggest thing for me is that people aren't even using aquarium lids because they're out of fashion. And that drives me nuts because I see such a big difference between an aquarium with a lid and not. Yeah, your fish could jump. Yeah, evaporation becomes almost non-existent. But the heat that you keep is amazing. Outside right now, there's a 12-degree difference between a lid and no lid. In my aquariums inside, I saw a 2 to 3 degree difference. So basically, the cooler it gets, the bigger a difference the lid makes in my testing so far. And that being said, I haven't set up enough tests like the where I'm monitoring it. I don't even have equipment. Like the light is 8 inches off the top. There's only air going in, so it doesn't have a hang-on back or anything like that. So I would expect that in my testing, I will see that while using a hang-on back or a canister filter, adding a top, you will save and net even more heat. So if I, without that equipment, am seeing 2 to 3 degree difference, I expect a 3 to 4 degree difference or something like that with running some equipment. Equipment being not a heater. So I think if we're truly chasing down the rabbit hole of making our making all the aquariums as safe as possible and as reliable as possible, the least amount of equipment we can use usually lends itself towards that. Especially when a heater fails, it's catastrophic. When a filter fails, it's usually not catastrophic. It just stops filtering, but you've got weeks or days, or oftentimes we're running so much filtration it doesn't even matter because the aquarium will handle it. Yeah, I hate being hot in the summer. Yeah, I run AC in here. So in my fish room, even though they probably want to be warmer, I cool it to about 74. So in my own fish room, I don't even let it get hotter from the room heat wise than 74. I do know that right now in my fish room, it is 75.5 Well, that's probably a funny. I have it sitting on top of this. I should probably move that. Let me find somewhere else. Well, it's saying 75.9. It says 74.8 over on that wall. And on that wall, it says 75. Even though I have it set to 72, because same thing in my room, I make heat, the cameras make heat, this light makes heat, the computers make heat, the lights on the aquariums make heat. All of those things go into that. And I've been down the spiel a bunch of times, but if you were in the hobby when we use metal halides and things like that, or compact fluorescent bulbs, you would know that if you were using 100 watts of lighting, it was like having a 100-watt heater just cooking in that room. It would get hotter and hotter and hotter over the summer. And sometimes you had to turn the lights off and do all of that to keep it down so that you didn't get too much heat. I don't remember when we quit using tops. It's the rimless aquarium trend that made tops go away. Now, we only run tops in half the aquariums at the store because they're acrylic tanks on one end. Given a choice, if we had perfect tops, we'd probably still use them. But one of the thoughts is tops do slow down a fish store. Moving them, opening them, doing that, feeding, doing like you might be in a tank 30 times a day. But at home, on average, we're in our tanks once a day, twice a day maybe. And so I think the benefit we get from running a top far outweighs what we would lose from not running a top. The store, you could, there might be some wiggle room, if you were running a facility where you're breeding and you're feeding 10 times a day and you're doing that, like, sure, it's a bit different. But I realize that it's a personal preference, and I'm not going to convince everybody. All I can do is show people what I'm doing, and that's how I've always done it. It's like, let me show you what I'm doing. You can do it however you want. I don't really care. But when people go, well, what's the best way to do this? I try to go, well, here's the best way I've found to date. And now that I'm 20 years into this, I do see myself doing this, and I am admitting to it. As I learn more, my opinions change over time. So you might go, but Corey, you said this 7 years ago. And between then and now, I might be like, yeah, I've traveled the world. I've kept more fish. I've done more things. I did more testing on that. And now this is my current educated opinion from what I know today. Someone had asked about, like, we're selling Maricin 2 on the website. And I personally don't use Maricin 2. That's correct. We do recommend it on the website a lot. It has been helping people a lot. And there were, on the forum, people were asking, like, well, where can I buy it? And that was becoming a problem. And so it was really easy for us to go, well, we could sell it. I don't believe it to be detrimental. I personally like to treat fish a different way. However, I can see the benefits of it, and I do see it working well for a lot of people. So we're willing to carry it in that instance. I still think we as a hobby have a 5-year project ahead of us of mastering aquarium salt for the masses. Let's see. I've also been going back to my roots. Not that I've like, oh, I better get back to my roots, but I've been collecting a lot of different, a lot of different barbs and kind of spawning some and wanting to spawn some others. And I'm finding myself missing the live bears still. And so, some rare live, well, not rare. I guess they're rare. I don't know. Some live bears came back into stock on Dan's Fish, so I bought them. They're way too expensive. Wait to see if they pan out for me, unless you must have them. But what are they? They're like platinum marble mollies that were like $200 a pair. I saw them in video after they'd already sold out. I was like, man, I gotta get me some of those. And so I put my info in and got an email a few days ago or something like that. They said they were back in stock. They don't even have a picture on the website. And so I bought those and a couple of little things. But yeah, I'm going back to live bears. I think what I'm drawn to is low maintenance, low equipment, or, that kind of thing, and live bears, where the tanks are just. And I'm also plant wise, I'm going more and more back to Anubias as I can afford to buy them and steal them from the store and the warehouse. I still wait to like the day before we restock everything. That's when I'll place my order, because it doesn't make any sense for me to go, we have 20 Coffifolias left, I'll take all 20, and then you guys can't get them. So I wait until like, okay, well, restocking tomorrow morning, like I guess I'll buy them tonight. But yeah, I'm kind of going back to simplicity, because I love a really well done tank with a lot of Anubias. I love to see lots of babies, and that's what I'm into. And then, as you might have heard in the last couple of videos, I think we're losing a lot of the hobbyist hobbyist bred strains. So I want to help be a steward of that and keep some, supply my store. I saw the Aquafinder is in the chat today. That's another platform, kind of like Aquabid or that fish.light or light.fish or whatever that is. I talked with the owner of Aquafinder a little bit through some messages. I think every platform's got some room to grow, and we're definitely in a what platform's gonna win right now, in my opinion. And this is not throwing shade at anybody in particular. They're all half-baked, because it's very labor intensive to set up these platforms. And even if you add all the tech right, it's really hard to get people using your platform. And then once someone has 500, 700 auctions at a time, they will have won. Right now, from just kind of parsing, it seems like every website I see has got 50 to 70. And that's not enough to win the masses over. So if you're a breeder, if you're wanting to be a buyer, I do think that there's a lot of cool things going on at Aquafinder. I like the system at light.fish as well. I think what we're waiting on is, who are the people going to adopt? I think Aquafinder is better, like it's a better.com than light.fish or whatever, fish.light. I don't even know. But there's some gaps and some holes, and there's still like, I want to try the system, like there's not a single fish I want to buy. And that's a problem still for me, so where Aquabid, I could find stuff I want to buy on Aquabid right now. Not that I want to, but like if I forced to, if I wanted to test a platform, like I'd take some of those. Like I could do that again. And so we'll see how they develop out. But, I think we need that. And I know live bears really well. I think I know them well. At least I've been following them for a long time. And so I think when it comes to wild caught fish and stuff like that, or it doesn't have to be wild caught, but just normal fish, it's really easy to find websites to buy them online. When it comes to I guess rarer, harder to find stuff, like someone on the forum was looking for Montezuma swordtails. Great fish, love that fish, kept that fish a bunch of times, bred that fish. It's not super popular in a store, but it's an amazing fish. But I can't find anywhere to buy it online, and that person can't either. So I was going to try to help them. But I would wager there's a decent chance one of the 370 some people have it in their fish room right now, or know somebody. Oh, a guy at my club's got that. And technology has changed, and everybody lost Aquabid, made their own websites, did their own thing, but what everybody lost was the marketing. The most important part of Aquabid was the marketing, and they didn't do any marketing, but the fact that everybody knew that's where you went. And so that's what's going to win. Whoever wins that war. If everybody knows you go to fishhobbyist.com or aquafinder.com or light.fish.com or aquabid.com, if everyone knows that's the one spot, breeders go there, hobbyists go there, vendors go there, everybody keeps going. They know that's the meetup. And once you have the meetup spot, that's where I know, like, hey, go look here for these. Yeah, you can get fish on Amazon. Yeah, you can get fish on Aquabid. You can get them on eBay. You can get them on these websites. You can get them at dansfish.com, Imperial Tropicals, buypetshrimp.com, Joe DP, Tropical Fish Go's doing a thing, gonna launch. So there's all these things that are happening, but I don't think that most of these companies know that the hardest part is the marketing. Like, we devote so much of our resources. I'm here on a Sunday live streaming for marketing. I did a post about Easy Shrimp and Snails before I went live for marketing. I took a trip to Brazil to film stuff for marketing. And so, companies like us, through all of that, the cameras, like this $1,500 microphone, all of this is marketing. You end up spending, like $1 million a year on marketing. It's not, the best product doesn't always win. It helps. The best marketing wins. And so, when I'm hoping that someone like Guppy John there will realize and learn that the trade-off of running your own website or something like that, which I encourage them to do, by the way, and I still think every breeder should have their own website, but they should also be using, I'm going to call it an aggregator. It's basically like that's what these websites are. It's kind of an aggregator. If it becomes the one spot that's basically the advertising, then you're worse off for not being there. So I think the other thing that I would like to see for any of these websites, I think one of the missteps, as I'll call it, for Aquabid is letting the big boys play on there. And what does that mean? That means like letting, well, like me. Let's say Aquarium Co-op, if you let me list all of my plants and my dry goods on there, that, in my opinion, muddies the water. Instead, maybe I have to play on an even foot where I can list 20 just like everybody else or something. Or you can't be the manufacturer. Like, what I don't want is, I don't want it to be like just another Amazon or something. I want it to be predominantly hobbyist based business there. You want the Lucas Bretts on there. You want the Wild Fish Tanks on there. You want Grant and Shelby on there. You want Jody on there. You want all of these people. If you're making fish at your home right now and you're not a business, but you're like, oh man, I just got to get rid of these. Like, if you could make it easy to throw them up on there and someone buys them and they go to the right home, that's the mission. That's mission accomplished. Yes, there will be people that set up businesses there, and I think that's healthy. But there's a big difference between someone who's making $5,000 a month on fish and someone doing $1 million a month on fish. Those are two different leagues. And so it's lucrative, though, because as an owner of a store or of a website or something like that, as the owner, you're going, yeah, but if I get my percentage of all those sales, that's really good for the website. But it's a short-term gain with a long-term loss. To me, it's no different than me saying, okay, Petco, PetSmart, you can sell our stuff. Short-term, we make lots of money. Long-term, not good for our brand. And I think that's, it's going to take, I think, 3 to 5 years to make a website that would win for selling fish for hobbyists. The problem is, no one's ever given it that long. Vivi lasted, maybe a little bit longer than a year. Over the last 20 years, I've probably seen 15 serious attempts at a new Aquabid, but they rarely ever last more than a year because they come out of the gate so hot and so strong, and they fizzle right out in that year. Where it's like, no, keep your day jobs, like keep weekend warrioring this thing, and do the things where when you need to do that, then you do it. Don't go, well, when it scales to $1 million a month in sales, we'll need this. Like, yes, but you're going to invest all that work now, and you may never need that, or you might not need that for 10 years from now. So, yeah, check some of those out. But, I think there's plenty of buyers. I think there's unlimited buyers. It's the sellers we don't have grouped up yet. Mobetta from Hawaii is no longer selling fish. Dang it. I swear I just bought some off him like 4 months ago on Aquabit or something. But yeah, the fact that you know, and I know who Mo Betta is for live bearers, like that's what I'm talking about right there. Is we want more of that. What killed Vivi? Was it the name? I think the name hurt it. I don't know if it killed it. Um, I've thought about making, let's call it an Aquabit alternative or a something for the last 10 years. And I don't want the liability that comes with it, but I was looking at, like, I know that 25% of the battle is the .com. Like, there's some out there that's like, oh, fish auction or something like that. It's like, oh, the domain's 25 grand. What people don't understand is that that 25 grand is very cheap marketing. Like, the name or the website is so important that at the beginning you're going 25 grand, no one could ever afford that. And that's kind of a true statement, except for big companies. But at the end, it's so costly to try and rebrand that no one ever does it. So, Aquafinder's halfway decent. It's spelled exactly like his username, AQUAFINDR. There's going to be a lot of people that type in Aquafinder, as in spelled correctly, and don't get to the right spot. But with enough marketing, you can overcome that. But with Vivi, the problem with Vivi is I never knew how to spell it correctly. That's already one barrier. Two, they were trying to do some crazy stuff that it made sense, but also didn't make sense. Like, they were trying to aggregate all the shipping. And what did that mean? That means that if you have everybody buy from your account, in theory, a brand new seller will get a better rate. If you scale it really high, you could get a better rate for everybody. But it just doesn't work with the crotchety old basement person. Like, they've been doing it a certain way, they just want to do it that way, and they always want to do that. And so you just got to kind of let them. And that's one of the challenges is, like, I think, honestly, when I've thought about it, yeah, Get Gills was nice, but Get Gills never had the marketing behind it. When I thought about it, I was like, okay, so if I was going to launch this, I was like, I need minimum $250,000, 250 grand, maybe 500 grand. I would have to pay breeders to list. So not like right now, it's like, oh, we'll let you list for free. Like, oh, you let me do work for free? Awesome. Like, you'd have to pay them, be like, okay, I will guarantee this many sales for you every month. And I would have to get, like, okay, I would need Dean. How do I get Greg Sage on there? How do I get Gary Lang to list some of his rainbow kit eggs? How do I get, like, okay, I would pay them and do this and do this and do this. Because if you have the fish, the sales come. That's the whole game. It's literally the whole game. But how do you go, like, okay, well, how do I know it's going to work? Like, well, you can't. You can't know it's going to work. And so what's the what's the draw to switch what they're already doing? And the reality is, big money. That's the only draw. And so I think it takes, between developers, the advertising, and all of that, somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000 to really launch that. Now, can it be done organically? Yes. If everybody gets behind one thing, it could be done. It'll still be harder and slower than without it, but it could be done. But yeah, like right now, you've got some sellers selling on multiple platforms, maybe on their Morph Market, maybe they're on Aquafinder, and maybe they're on Fish.light all at the same time. But you've got other sellers that aren't. They're only on one platform thinking this is working. How do you get people that are selling lots of fish off of eBay onto that? How do you get people off Band onto that? How do you get people off YouTube onto that? And I think the only real way is once people know it's the one winning, that's when it attracts the more breeders. So, but chicken the egg. How do you prove that you're winning if you're not already winning? A lot of times it's a lot of money. You go, hey, we're so confident we're going to win, we're willing to pay you before you even sold stuff. That kind of part is what we can grease the wheels. After my experience using autodosers, which brand or model would you recommend and to be the most easy to use? I like these bulk resupply ones. If you got one tank, they're like $70. And then I'm still enjoying the Jabo. What is it? I think I have it right here. I've got the manual I was reading the other day. The J-Cod, but even though they're Jabo, doser 5.4 and 5.6. It runs on Bluetooth. I run it on an app. I need to install the second one still, but I'm liking that. But I'm only like, maybe a month into it, so it could totally fail horribly in the next month. But I'm liking them a lot right now. Where's the best place for Dorkula to relax and unwind on Fridays at 5 Central Standard Time? Well, that would be the Planted and Enchanted live stream, of course. Chihuahuas invited and encouraged. Yes. So the other thing that I would encourage, or not encourage is the wrong word, because that's going to make it seem like I want money. The advice that I would give starting out businesses like a Tropical Fish Co. or a brand like Bougie Bish Fish, or like an Aquafinder, is become part of the communities, be in the chats, become members, right? Like the return on money for Bougie there of $5 a month, but I just read that out. For $5 is an insane return to targeted audience of fish people. And I learned that I learned that not early on, midway through when it became kind of an option, but it's been studied and it's effective. The best marketing you can do for right now and a long time is to go into people's live streams and things like that, become members, start donating memberships or just money. And so it's a good way, because usually then the creator wants to talk about you more. They're also more likely to use your stuff. And then also they're getting some money, but then especially it works much better, by the way, with smaller creators. The support. People want to support people supporting people. So you go into a smaller stream and you go, hey, here's 5 subs. Just want to support you. Hopefully you guys will use our business at some point. You're trying to create goodwill there. That money is way better spent than on Facebook or other types of marketing. So, I think it's a valid thing that works well. That being said, it's reciprocal. Obviously, if you're not getting any, like, no one in the chat loves you, you get no mention or anything like that. Like, you don't keep putting your money there. And smart creators know this, and so they go, like, they'll read that out. Not that I'm fishing for that $5. I actually think it's kind of more fun to troll my wife, and maybe she'll go on the live stream someday. I can't speak for her, though. I'm not forcing her, not encouraging her. It's her own thing. Let's see here. Let's try to get back onto some fishy talk. So what am I working on? So my goal is I got to do a little bit of algae cleanup on the glass. I got to take down maybe some post-it notes and things that my wife has up for what fish eat what as reminders. And I'm working on filming some more, working on audio a bit. Just trying to level stuff up. That's kind of a big thing. I basically got rid of all of our shorts. There's still 3 left. I might cut those too. Shorts were making up like 50% of all of our views, and I'm still convinced that they are bringing in the wrong audience. So someone that would watch this for 2 hours is just not likely to watch shorts, or vice versa, right? So the people that were leaving comments on shorts and stuff like that, there would be lots of people that don't even keep aquariums. And like, that's not great for this algorithm, I would say. And so if you like the shorts that we're putting out, you can watch them on Instagram. You can watch them on Facebook, and then the More Aquarium Co-op channel. If you don't know, we had that channel for many years now. We weren't putting a lot of content out in the last couple years, but there's videos on there, and it's got over 100,000 subscribers, and we're putting it there so that algorithm could build over there if it wants to, but not impact this. And really, I think the thing that people aren't talking about when it comes to shorts as a creator is that it ruins your optics on your own channel. You upload a video, 2 days later you put out a short, and now you can't really judge how well your video is doing anymore because of the way the dashboard works. And so by also on like the 48 hours, and it's looking like what did the best on my channel this month, it's always going to be shorts. But the shorts, one view on a short is not equal to one view on a video or a live stream. And so that change is going to make us less money. It is going to probably adversely affect our algorithm for probably 3 months. My hope and what I'm betting on is that over time it will repair it, because we, in my opinion, do basically the same thing we've been doing for many, many years, but our reach is lower than ever. And part of that is people just are watching shorts more than they ever used to. But part of it, I think, is the algorithm pushes the stuff out. It goes to people that watch shorts and don't watch long form content. They don't click, and it goes, ooh, your stats aren't as good as they used to be. We won't push this as much. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. Some other people have said they've had success. Some people haven't had success with that. So, but also I don't enjoy making shorts. So that's the other part of it, is like, I don't enjoy doing it. I don't necessarily think it's good for what we're doing. So I'm going to stop doing it and allow myself to focus on keeping live bears and shooting long form videos and going to Brazil. And because I was making shorts in Brazil, I released some, and I'm just like, it's just not, I can't, I'm convinced I can't teach someone something in under a minute. It has to be the most simple subject, and even then you can't give the context. And if I can't give the context, I feel like I can't teach. And so for my style of video, and I was able to prove it. So I wanted to make sure that I could get views, and I was able to make clickbaity crap that would get 500,000 or more views, and it would do the thing, and it didn't do what I thought was good for the hobby. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going, I don't do shorts because I'm better than that, because I couldn't do it. Now that I proved that I could do it, and mostly what you guys get, you're getting clips from our editor. When I would put out and I would make a dedicated short, it would do really well. But it wasn't a good use of my time the way I felt. My main mission has always been education. Before we even had Aquarium Co-op, the channel, I made videos about raising Daphnia and doing other things that I couldn't find on the internet. And so that's still been my overarching thing, is education and learning. And even if it's just me learning, like I really nerded out with the video on cancer filters because I was learning. And when I get to learn, it applies to all parts of my life. So there was a fish question that I don't want to willingly neglect, and that would be, can you talk about breeding Adolphi Corys? I have a group of 6. They're about 2 years old in their own 2-foot tank. They have never bred for me. It seems to be males and females. I would look at how much food is going in. And here's my metric for breeding Corridoras. When you fed them, 4 hours later, were they still eating? If the answer is no, you're not feeding enough to really turn on the Corridora making machine. And so that might be big old chunks of Rapashi food. That might be lots of live blackworms. That might be you're feeding them every hour on the hour. It could just be a massive big handful of pellets or something. But in general, what has always held true for me is if I put enough food to them, they will breed. I could have everything else right. If they're not getting enough food, they just don't. And I tested it. This was that testing where I would change nothing except for the amount of food. And I got to the point where if I put a half a pound of blackworms into a 40 breeder with Corridoras, they would 100% of the time spawn the next day. Then I was able to replicate that with Rapashi and some other foods. When I tried, okay, what about What about a quarter pound? Like, nope, for that group of fish, it wasn't enough. And so it's not that you have to put in a half a pound. You only have 6 fish. I had like 80 corridors in there because they kept spawning and they would raise up and with that much food, also the babies I didn't have to remove them. They would just raise up. They would colony raise for these orange lasers and some other ones I was doing. So in general, this always assumes, and assuming is bad, but assumes that your water quality is not terrible. You have something in the range they would at least like to be in, those types of things. Not so much is it, so far off. And so usually it's the food. And you don't have other fish that are kind of going in there and, you know, eating the eggs or stressing them out or anything like that. I'm curious how many people here make rapashi for their cichlids and if they add anything to it. I've tried adding stuff to it. In my opinion, the only time I added anything to it that maybe made sense is if I had a lot of food that I wasn't going to be able to use up in a timely manner. I never was able to make rapashi better than rapashi already is. So, and I tried lots of different things, but I really, whenever I feel like, I don't think it's actually better than just the straight up rapashi. So, I wouldn't spend a lot of time, me anymore, because I've tried trying to make it better. Like, I'll add in, what if I blender like shrimp, or what if I add this, or what about if I had flake food, or what about if I had calcium, or what about if I add this? The reality is I never got much more traction. I think you'd probably be better off focusing on raising live daphnia or hatching out brine shrimp or changing water more or adding plants or some other aspect. You probably get some better returns. But rapashi food I think it is a good food that will continue to die out because there's no marketing for it. And even when I tried to like bring back the most popular blend that I like, the shrimp souffle, the owner just doesn't care. They're a reptile person, and if they make any money off the fish foods, great, but they're not really looking to expand that market. So it's going to continue just to wean off and die, I think. Let's see. One of the people Aquarium Co-op has brought was a Cory breeding couple. They talked about doing a dry season where the TDS builds up and then follow it with a wet season and a ton of water changes. I've tried the cold water change, that method. To me, I never got reliable results. I wouldn't say it doesn't work. It wasn't repeatable for me, and I'm always skeptical when it's like, well, 1 out of 3 times it works, and it's like, is that actually working then, or is that just coincidence? So I won't say not to do those things, but I also can't say the difference between it working and not working is this thing that only works a third of the time for me. I don't feel confident in recommending out that information. In my experience, the cold water change or the big water change or the storm rolling in hasn't been like, we had a crazy big storm yesterday. No corridor eggs over there, but I also haven't been feeding them what they need to be eating to do that either. So for me, the one thing I can say, like, this is the thing that if it's Cory, you gotta put money where your mouth is. What's the one piece of advice? I would say we're not feeding enough to the corridores. In general, I believe we're not feeding enough to fish at all. Like, the average person, I think, does not feed enough, or enough might be the wrong word. Enough / the right types of foods that everything's getting enough. I did find something very interesting because I got to watch fish underwater for basically 2 weeks straight. I was basically underwater, snorkel mask, watching fish. Like, I'm not sure the last time I spent that much time watching fish, maybe ever. Like, oh, but you don't watch your aquariums? Like, you do, but when's the last time you spent like 70 hours per week watching fish? I don't think any of you have. Maybe you have, but I don't think any of you have, because I hadn't. And so, I was spending all this time, I started noticing things of like, wait a second, all these fish, like, I'm not really seeing them eat a ton. However, they're all not underweight. So I think, confused wild caught fish being underweight with what I get from wholesalers, with them not getting enough to eat in the wild. However, I think it's the amount of holding time at wholesalers, like the collectors, the exporters, and then the wholesalers. They're getting so little food that, in fact, that's where they're losing all the weight. And so I still don't exactly know, like, what is it all these fish are eating, really? Like, a lot of fish were eating a lot of mole, like a lot. But the tetras weren't really doing that. Festivums, I filmed it and I watched them. It took me 3 hours to finally get it on tape or on video. But I was watching them eat the hair grass, pull it off and eat it finally when I sat there long enough that they didn't see me as a threat. And so just because I'm not seeing it doesn't mean they're not eating all the time. Like, it took sometimes hours for fish to come out and let me see them. Tetras were just kind of like, oh, it's fine. You know, they weren't scared, but the smarter the fish was, the longer it would take for them to warm up to you. I have the Entropolis canarensis. Is that the like the Entropolis? Let me look those up. Those like the goby cichlids? Oh no, a pearl spot cichlid. But you're adding some decapsulated brine shrimp to it, and you're not sure if it's doing much. Yeah, I don't know if it is either. It's so hard. Like, I still believe that so many fish foods are so good nowadays that we're way past, is this food actually better than another food? What are the red fish behind me? Those are longfin rosy barbs. Let's see. Not been able to find an answer on this. How long can I keep my cycled aquarium without fish before the cycle crashes? I got one running and one on standby. My hot take is forever. The longer you run an aquarium, in my opinion, the more seasoned it becomes and the more stable it gets. And so, now there could be a thing where it's like, if you go from, let's say this tank has nothing in it for a year, and then I slam 500 rainbow fish in there and I feed them heavily, I could run into some problems. However, if I kept nothing in there for a year and then I added 20 rainbows, it'd be fine. And then 2 weeks later, I added 20 more rainbows, it would be fine. So I think a seasoned aquarium handles way more than we will ever give it credit for, or understand. Maybe understand is the right word. Brine shrimp are on the way. We'll hope it doesn't put me out of business. Tariff, you know, I don't know that I can convey the amount of stress that has been in this job for the last 5 years, COVID and then tariffs and other things. Like, the fact that, like, while in Brazil, I woke up to this. So, like, yep, we ordered a lot of brine shrimp. We're like, okay, we've saved up enough money that I think we can afford to do it with the tariff the way it stands right now. Like, because more and more people, the longer we've been out of it, the more and more people are like, dude, you got to get it back. Like, I love it. Like, I got a message. Maybe I'll see if I can read this aloud here. Let's see if I can find it. More and more people, as they run out, they kind of go like, hey, this is actually, you got something special. I need you to do it. I won't say this person's last name. His name was Jim. He said it on October 31st. I just want to thank you for making the tough decision to reorder the Aquarium Co-op brine shrimp eggs. I can understand making company decisions at this time is difficult. I have tried 3 other brine shrimp companies since I ran out of yours, and not one comes even close to the hatch rate and the gold color of yours. My wife and I are both retired and currently breeding guppies and corridoras, and have used your brine shrimp every day for a year now. We want to thank you for everything you have done with the aquarium hobby, and I'm sure you will in the future. Thanks again. We look forward to getting a delivery of brine shrimp eggs soon. And then they left their name, Jim and Kathy. So in Brazil, I wake up and I see, like, oh, we're threatening another 100% tariff. That equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars that just evaporate for us. And with the way we're calculating things, that that's nearly financial ruin for us. So what the problem is, nothing is set in stone, and so like right now, even at this exact moment, it's like, okay, uh, seems like we're not throwing the extra 100% on, but we're not even exactly sure because depending on the tariff and the way it's applied, some tariffs get paid before it gets on the water or applied then. Sometimes they're applied when it lands. So we don't know, and it makes it really hard. So you're like, until these brine shrimp eggs land, we could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars or not. Should we order the next thing? Like, no, because what if we have to pay that? And so we're having to play a very, very slow conservative game of like, should we do the thing? Like, what if this other thing ruins us? If both these things happen, we go out of business. We can handle one. Okay, well, we just have to wait and let the one thing clear through before we move on to the next thing, which we're a business that normally we are ahead. Like, oh yeah, we want to keep 6 months of stock. We never want to run out of anything. But it's impossible to do business and keep the financial future of all my employees safe when you don't know what you're paying for things. Like, oh yeah, a can of brine shrimp, it either costs us $20, $50, or $40. Like, okay, well that's a huge difference when you're ordering, 10,000 cans. Like, which one is it? It's real important. So adds layers of stress when you're in Brazil and you're thinking about that. You're like, because you're not getting the same media and you're trying to go like, how serious is this? Like, do I need to be figuring out what we're gonna do about this, or do I keep filming? I just kept filming, but it's like, you get real distracted. Surely there are brine shrimps sourced in USA. Yeah, there's 2 lakes that are owned by 2 private companies that don't sell them. I mean, they sell them to consumers, but I can't buy them from them. At least not at a rate that we could sell them. Yeah. So it's one of those as ad nauseum, there you can find plenty of stuff where people are trying to have stuff made in America, and it's literally impossible. That's just where we're at. Like, it's a conversation I'm not gonna spend time on because have you tried the thing? Like, yes, we've tried the thing. We've tried all the things. Like, it's not like I'm some business wizard. The average, even big companies can't get it done. So if they can't get it done and I can't get it done, and we've tried, we've stopped. We're still waiting on a quote from the U.S. manufacturer on the undergravel filter parts. We've got them from China. We can't afford to do it yet, but it's like, if you've been listening to live streams, you're like, but didn't you started talking about that like 6 weeks ago? You're like, yeah, 6 weeks ago. Haven't even, still working on it. Makes it real hard to do anything when you're like, I don't even know if we're working with you because you're not talking to us really. So, but yeah, that stress has been a lot anyway. Let's see. Brine Shrimp Direct is very comparable price to Aquarium Co-op shrimp in weight. Might not be 100% same quality, but very, very comparable. I think that depends on who you ask. Like, I know Dean has done tests and would argue different. I don't want to speak for him, but he's said it on camera and he's told me. That being said, any brine shrimp's better than no brine shrimp. So, yeah, we're waiting to get ours back in stock, and the people that love it will still love it. Yeah, you can see there, the San Francisco eggs are not as good as the Co-op's eggs. We have great eggs. They are not cheap, but we do have great eggs when we have them. That's the other caveat, which wasn't a thing before, but apparently it's a thing now. And I'll give the little spiel. Why are the eggs the contention point? Because if I order up these community pellets or a Magic Small Fish feed, and we ordered $100,000 worth, and the tariff changes tomorrow, and they're not on the boat yet, we can let it sit in a warehouse, and then a month later, when the tariff changes again, we can put them on the boat. There's not tons of frozen storage available at warehouses to put brine shrimp eggs, so that's why why is that the product out of everything? Why is it the brine shrimp? One, eggs are very expensive, and we don't make that much money on them. And 2, they got to stay frozen the whole time. So that's the crux of why that product's so difficult for us. Let's see. Did I do any bull riding shows in Brazil? Nope. We went from small airport straight to the jungle, basically. Um, yeah, I wish I could have watched some bull riding or anything really. I was stuck in airports. The layovers from in Manaus. I had two layovers in Manaus. One was I think 11 hours, and one was like 13 hours. Brutal. And then and then you take the next flight, and you're like, oh sweet, I got a 6 hour layover in Bogota. Whew. Some long days. On the way home, I think door to door, so door of where we stayed to door to here where I live, 48 hours of traveling by car, by plane, by plane, by plane, by plane, by car. Lots of layovers, lots of just airport food. I'm just like, let me try to order in a language I don't speak. This should be good enough. Yeah. It was rough. But I excel when it's rough because not many other people do it, and so I push through it and go, yeah, this is worth it, worth the footage. So let's see here. Do I have any advice on keeping Iliad and Furcidans? They love to eat algae. They are good hair algae eaters. They've been very hardy in my experience. In fact, someone mentioned earlier in the stream that they saw some at the store and they're looking good. We bought them from a local breeder, and I'm getting some back for me. The price that they're at, it's like it's an expensive price. I don't know how many people are going to buy them, but I'll breed them, and we'll probably hopefully be able to offer them at a little bit lower price again. But it's a fish I love. They eat well. They're I don't know. To me, they're very hardy and easy. They're easier than guppies and things like that because they don't typically have the fin rot issues or anything. They look great. It's a goodiad. It's a live bear. Great fish. They get big, 4 inches, but maybe I'll do. I don't know. This tank has changed about 20 different times in the last month. Of like, what am I gonna do in this tank? I also I think I'm gonna try for the third time. I think sump on the 800 gallon. I'm gonna try insane amounts of. I'm gonna try to max out and do 3 120 gallon sumps on the 800 gallon. That's my goal. See. And I'm wondering if I want to keep the same fish long term. Like I really fell in love with ooh, I could do angels and some other stuff and some cool things out of Brazil. Um, because it really it's the I love the way the cichlids look. I hate how much they're digging and how many babies they're having. Not hate it, but it's like if they weren't digging, my water would be a lot clearer. That would be nice. It's like, oh, those guys could just live there and that would look cool. And then I could do something different in the 800 gallon. Like, I don't know. I need to do my yearly, I call it my yearly spreadsheet where I basically pull up a Google spreadsheet and I write down every tank I have. And then I start with what are the fish that I absolutely don't want to get rid of, I'm in love with. And then I try to fill out the rest of the tanks of like, what would I, in a perfect world, what would I fill these with? Ooh, I'm looking for this live bear. I'm looking for that. And I try to go, ooh, yeah, I do want more shrimp than that. Okay. And I try to lay that plan out. And then I start trying to enact that. And it gives me like what direction am I going? Because right now my tanks are all over the place. Like, do I actually want, like right now I have a tank with one neon rosy barb. I have these longfin rosy barbs. I have babies that I raised up of longfin rosy barbs. So that's 3 tanks so far of longfin rosy barbs. Yeah, and then I've got the black ruby barb. So that's 4. Then I've got cherry barbs. That's 5. Then I have like these African banded barbs. That's 6. Then I have the gold dwarf barbs. That's 7. Yeah, and so if I was to lay it out, like, do I want to keep 7 tanks of barbs right now? And it'd probably be like, no, I probably 3 would probably be good enough, really. And so, okay, which ones do I want to pare down? Like, oh, okay, which ones do I want to pare down? And so that it forces me to kind of take stock of like, what am I doing right now? Like, how many of this do I got going? I kind of went too far on that, or I need to move some of these on. Yeah, same thing with I got 2 tanks of the same guppy going right now. Yeah, I got the swordtails I want to work with. There's a lot of stuff. I got some tetras I want to work with. But it allows me to build a plan of like, what am I trying to do here? Because right now I could spend the next 4 hours and like 4 hours with 20 minutes on every tank. It wouldn't be 20 minutes on every tank. It would be like hunting and pecking. Like, yeah, it looks a little better. But if I don't have a plan, I you can spend a lot of time not accomplishing a whole lot. So, oh yeah, I wanted to mention because I don't know if I mentioned on a live stream yet. We do have, and they haven't shown up yet. They'll arrive tomorrow. Perfect, a day late. We will have two, or not. We will. We do have two new shirts on the website. We have Elmer and Friends and the Incredible Easy Green, and you can get free shirts if you spend $125 or more. You get free shipping at 75. You get a free shirt at 125, or you could just buy them as well. So, yeah, if you're looking for that, it's pretty cool. I like them. I wanted to wear my Incredible Easy Green shirt today. I love that shirt, or I love that concept. It's been a wanting to do it for like 5 years. Like, yeah, I want Easy Green to be like a cartoon character. That'd be cool. And now we finally done it. The stores you sell to should keep them frozen, but they're not here in VT. Yeah, we officially recommend all stores keep brine shrimp eggs frozen. I can't fly there and physically put them in their freezer. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it stems from the San Francisco Bay eggs and stuff that sit in warehouses. Not from like them themselves, but like I think it's San Francisco Bay, like the little kit, like the 2 liter bottle kit and the little vials of eggs. They were historically never refrigerated or frozen, and I think that's just where fish store owners are like, "That'll be fine." And the reality is like, yeah, they probably will be okay because it's not fish stores don't get that hot, but like in a container or a warehouse, a lot of warehouses don't have any temperature controlling, and so if it's coming in out of a warehouse in Arizona, it's 115. Like those eggs got way too hot, and stuff can get way too cold too. So yeah, I think we talked about it on the Deep in the Muln podcast. I don't know if we did, but we even installed mini splits for the plant area just to control the temperatures better. So we do temperature control within a range. Like we'll go broke trying to keep it at the perfect temp for an entire big warehouse, but we do, keep it from getting way too cold or way too hot because, like with Easy Green, for instance, we put the maximum amount of fertilizer that water can hold. Sometimes when you guys will get it, if it's real cold out, you go, hey, there's stuff in the bottom. You just got to warm it back up, like in the fish room. Like it, I think it's called precipitating out. We put so much stuff in it that when like at 70 degrees, it's all liquid, but at 40 degrees, you're like, there's some crystals in the bottom. Like, yeah, water doesn't hold the same amount of stuff depending on temperature. So if you ever have that, like, you just got to warm it up, shake it up a little bit, it'll dissolve back in. But we're putting in the maximum amount possible. Like, literally, the water will not hold more. It's not like you guys could put more in. Like, literally, I don't know if it's the physics or the chemical composition of water, it cannot hold more of the fertilizer. It literally cannot do it, at least with the way we're trying to pull it off. So, let's see. I think, yeah, I saw Steven ask earlier about our new root tabs. I think they're sometime in December. We're basically waiting to sell through what we have, and then we'll get the next shipment. So we don't have them yet, but we looked at the timeline, like when are they supposed to sell out? And so we think the transition will happen early December, mid-December. Just all depends. If someone buys all of our root tabs right now, we'll scramble, get more sent in, and then they'll be available tomorrow. I'm excited from Brazil to show some of the fish that aren't in the trade or that I've never seen in the trade that I thought were super duper cool. There were some cool tetras. It was fun to film like different pencilfish, like marginatus and equus, like the brown tailed pencilfish. And I basically nerded out every time I saw a fish we keep in our aquariums in the wild. Like, oh my god, it's that! Like I remember kind of losing it when I saw a flagtail prochulotus. I was like, whoa, I have one of these in my house right now in my tank. So that was cool. Yeah. Let's see. Did I use ChatGPT at all when I was in Brazil? Maybe for translation? Nope. Nope. I had the AirPod Pro 3s, but I never had a good chance to use it. They were nice to have in like, ooh, if I really can't talk, but I never had to break them out. I kind of try. At the airport, I put it in and I was listening to see how well they worked. The problem was at the airport, there were so many people talking that the sentences weren't making senses. Like it, or making sense. Like it didn't. So imagine you and someone else are talking at the same time. It just mashed those two together, so the sentence didn't make sense. Where if one person was talking, it could convert that and do really well. Like, okay, yeah, they're talking about, like, one point they were handing out like some pretzels, like cinnamon pretzels, and I could hear people saying like, "Oh, these taste good" or whatever. But when the whole group of people were talking, I couldn't make it out because it just couldn't keep up, and it would like that sentence doesn't make any sense. So, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, can we order the UK yet? Nope. Nope. We don't have that capability. Mm. Yeah. The reality is, I'm not sure. Like, if I'm being honest, I thought about it a lot more. I researched it some more. I'm not sure we're ever going to launch to the rest of the world. There's still so much work to be done in America for us that doing it in, what do I want to say? Like, let's say selling $100,000 worth of aquarium co-op stuff in another country would take 10 times the amount of work that it would take to sell another $100,000 worth of stuff in America. And so we'd really have to like have someone making it easy, or grow a lot more in America to make that worth our while. Cause it's not that it's like, oh no, we're not worth your while, huh? It's like, no, it's if it, you know, if it takes you 10 minutes to make a sandwich, or it takes you 3 hours to make a sandwich, which sandwich are you making? Probably the 10-minute one, right? Like, you just got to eat. It's kind of the same thing of like, yeah, well, we just got to like make our money and keep our employees employed. It's a long-term play with a lot of risk and a lot of political stuff going on in the world right now to invest in another country. So at the moment, it's like, yeah, it doesn't look great. You never know, though. So as much as like, if I could snap my fingers and everybody could get our stuff whenever they wanted, trust me, I would. But it takes a lot of work. It's not that easy. So longfin rosy barbs, golden barbs. These are the golden dwarf barbs, by the way, not just the normal golden barbs. And blackberry, or the black ruby barbs make the cut. I don't know. The longfin rosy barbs, I kind of see. That's the problem I think all of us probably have, or at least I have. Right now, I'm done with longfin rosy barbs, which means I bred them a bunch. Like, I've got them in 2 different tanks in terms of like for show, like they're here and the 800-gallon. And then when I get rid of them in 6 months, I'm like, oh, I really need some longfin rosy barbs. But right now, I'm totally like, I've got enough of these rosy barbs. I'm not good at moderation. I'm really good at all or nothing. And so I probably need to, as I'm thinking about, okay, Corey's got, let's see, it's 14 plus 14, 28, 29, 30, 31. I've got 31 aquariums. Do I dedicate one aquarium to rosy barbs? And the answer should probably be yes. I love rosy barbs, the longfin rosy barbs. It's just a matter of which one gets dedicated to that. That's what I don't know. You also don't really know if it's accurate unless you know the language. Sure. I mean, I tested it with people that do know the language, so they could be like, yeah, that's what I said. But in that group scenario, I don't know if it was being accurate there, because I wasn't like eavesdropping on them and then asking them like, "Is this what you just said?" So yeah, but it also you can infer a lot. Like I don't know how many of you spend time in countries where you don't speak the language, but uh like Juliana was surprised that I could basically know what they were saying even though they were speaking Portuguese. It's like, well, we had a topic we were talking about and like the gestures and what you were trying to kind of, you know, like I kind of had the gist of it. And so I find that, there's a lot of cues you get outside of just the words too of like, I think they're talking about what time we're leaving in the morning or something. I did not realize it's been a member for a year. Time flies. I need to place an order to get my coin. Nice work, Anna Banana. So what happens? Just a refresher for everybody. Uh, Once you reach a milestone of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, whatever it is, and you place an order, it will then add the tag to your account and give you like, here's some other coins that our manufacturer sent to us as examples that they use in their business. It will add the tag, and then the next order you order will it'll add it to it. The way the system works, that's the only way we can do it. The other thing you could do if you're like, I only place one order a year, you could email customer service and you could say, hey, could you add the tag to my account? I want to place an order. Most times we can get that done for you. Let's see. I understand not wanting to launch in other countries, but allowing us to buy via transshippers if we want, if we waive the warranty. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, we've always said you can order from a transshipper. We just don't have any control of that. Yeah. Someone had said like their card got declined. We don't control that part. Like that's Shopify's back end. So if it's flagging your card for some reason, we don't have any control over that, unfortunately. What is someone willing to import a ton of aquarium co-ops and be like a local partner? Yeah. I mean that could happen. I think it takes about $500,000 to start that. As in, we got to start bringing containers of product over to support that. So there has to be someone that wants to work with us, will withhold the same values and all that, wants to start at least $500,000 in. And yeah, it could happen. Could. The problem is like different countries have different laws. And so, for instance, if we want to, when we sold Easy Green on Amazon in Canada, we had to change the packaging to have French Canadian on it. So there's other laws in other countries with stuff like that too. And so is there like that $500,000 like startup cost? Yes. And there's also like, but isn't there also like a year's worth of work for you to get it ready for that country? Like, yep, power supplies. Like we've already put infrastructure in. A lot of our stuff runs off USB for that reason. But there's different like regulations. Like, is ETL certified going to work in that country? Does it have to be ROHS certified? Does it have to be a different certification? Does it have to be? So there's all these things that have to be done to potentially pull that off. And when we look at it, though, the problem is when we look at it, like, so all that work's got to be done. If we put that same work on this part of the business over here, it would just be better for us as a use of time. So we really need someone like, okay, is there really a big partner that wants to partner with us in a country? Does that make sense? And every day we accomplish something, we get a little bit further in business. And someday, like, the biggest thing we could do would be to launch into that country. And then we'll start doing those things. But until we run out of things that make more sense, we kind of rank them in what's most likely to pan out, work well for us. We just keep going down the list as we can. Let's see. There's nothing Co-op could do that we can't get the fan merch. Basically, it's. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but it will cost us clearly more than we're earning through memberships to pull off. That's the problem. It's like when you have like our employees start at $20+ an hour, and it takes minimum like half an hour to get a shipment ready to leave the country. So like, even if you're like, but I'll pay the shipping, I'll do the thing. It's like, cool, but it cost us, because like we pay people starting at 20 bare minimum. I'm not even exactly sure. It might be more than that at this point, but then there's also like the 401k and the medical and all the things. So it actually averages out to about $30 an hour. And if it takes half an hour, that costs us $15 to get a coin. And then you've got the cost of the coin, which is a few dollars. And so it's, what do I want to say? I'm going to wrap it up. I've tried like 6 times. I've yet to find a way where we're not going to lose the business by pulling it off. And even when we try to like, well, couldn't you get it to another person? They could try and check it off in the back end system. Like, yeah, maybe we could do it, but it's a rabbit hole that we haven't figured out yet. And at the end of the day, I'm already working 7 days a week, as many hours as I'm awake. So there's no like, just do it on the day off. Doesn't exist. Like, we don't have time. We don't have time. And you could say like, hire more people. I totally would if political things didn't make us lose hundreds of thousands of dollars at the pen stroke. I would have that money. I don't have the money. Like, that's really where we're at. Is most businesses in America are hanging on by a thread. Like, we don't know what tomorrow brings, so we have to play very conservative to have a chance. And that's the game we're playing, honestly. If you want to fly in to my store or our warehouse, we'll give you the coin you need. Like, that's really easy. We just hand it to you. Like, hey, thanks. But, at scale, thousands of people worldwide. And it's not as simple as like, just send it. Like, sending it to Africa is wildly different than sending it to Brazil, than to selling it to sending it to an EU country, to sending it to Canada, to sending it to Mexico. Like, it's different codes and different things and different ways it's got to work, and then different modes. Like, oh, they don't take DHL there. Like, there's even different like PayPal basically is super rare in Brazil, but Pix is all the rage, which is like, it's kind of just like PayPal or kind of like Venmo. So there's a lot of stuff. And then there's the whole like international accounting side of it. We're just trying to, honestly, we're a small business just trying to make it till tomorrow. Every day, let's just make it till tomorrow. Let's see here. Oh, it's been 2 hours. We can grab a couple more and we'll call it. I got aquariums I want to feed. Let's see here. Is there a 4th and 5th year coin? Yeah, there's coins all the way up to year 7. We have 7. 7. I was like, do we have 8 yet? Do we have 8? No. No one's been a member for 8 years yet. Only 7. Not that many people have even made it to 7, but yeah, we're doing pretty good. We get the coins ready lately before people hit that year mark usually. And we even have 7-year badges, which for a long time YouTube didn't go past 5, because I won't say no other community, because I don't know that for a fact, but it seemingly seemed like no other channel on YouTube had ever made it past. I think we have the longest members, because we were in the beta testing and we've had people stay the whole time. So there might be 1 or 2 other people on the platform that are not Aquarium Co-op that have that long, but we definitely are the thorn in their sides. We're like, our people don't have the badges. Like, yeah, nobody else really has that. Speaking of USB, how can I get one of those micro little USB air pumps? Probably hop on Amazon and buy them. But then people say like, but they're not as good as the ones. Like, yeah, we were making changes and ours were changed, but still not up to our snuff long term in the way they were used. But yeah, usually you can find them on Amazon and they'll be similar. Let's see here. Glad you're doing things to boost your spirit and take care of yourself, your employees during the stressful time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you got to kind of just come back to like, I'm in it for the fish. Like, I just want to breed fish. I just want to keep fish. And that's what keeps me going. Cause the business part, like if I had no employees, and their financial future didn't rely on Aquarium Co-op, I would have switched jobs. Like, it is I won't say it's not worth the stress, but given the choice, if which I don't have that choice, like I haven't been presented that choice, but if someone was able to offer me a job that I would enjoy, or I don't even want to say I have to enjoy it, but after doing this for this long, there are lots of other things like, ooh, that might be interesting to do. Um, so yeah, but right now, being that we have what we've got going, I don't want to abandon the hobby either. Don't want to abandon my employees. I enjoy making products, and I just wish I could dump some of the stress. And there's nobody can dump it for me. Like there's no like my brain. I can't stop my brain from thinking like, what are insurance premiums going to be next year for my employees? How much of that could we even absorb? Like, well, what will sales be like? Like, sales are down 30% year over year. Like, can we afford to pay more for health insurance for employees and be down 30%? Like, but maybe Christmas will be really good to us. Maybe it won't. We don't know. So I have to tell myself to stop thinking about it, tackle that when you got to tackle that. A lot can change between now and then. I don't have any direct influence over it, so focus on things I do have direct influence over. I can clean my tanks, I can feed them, I can make videos, I can tell you guys to buy our stuff, I can educate you, I can answer questions. My philosophy has always been, don't spend money, but if you are going to spend money, spend it with us. So, do you need that extra new sponge filter, a cancer filter? Do you? Do you have one that works? I'd say use that. You're going to buy one. You're set on buying one. Please buy it from us then. That's my mantra is I will try to always get the best version of whatever we're selling to you guys. I'll try to make it better over time. I'll try to offer the world's best customer service behind that. I'll try to educate you as much as I can. I'll try to take the dollars you spend, put them back into the hobby, put them back into employees, put them back into the next product. I'll do as much as I can. And but I think overall, in general, people are just spending less because of everything that's going on throughout the entire world. So if everybody averaged $100 a year on aquariums and now they're averaging $70, like, yeah, we're still thankful you guys are buying stuff, but that $30 that is missing does make it harder to do stuff like giveaway stuff, stupid sponge filters, in launching things. So I just put my Aquarium Co-op 3D printed file lid handle on my glass lid, and I haven't tried my new 3D printed snail catcher, but look forward to it, as do my shabunkets. Yeah, the 3D printing thing has been fun. Still trying to balance that. We can develop things faster than we can really market them. So, yeah. Thanks again for the donation to the SAS. That's right. Part of what we do is we've been donating more and more to clubs. So some more clubs have been getting some more stuff from us because when money contracts, right, it's not just our business. It's all businesses. It's not just us that make less money. Like you might be making less money. People got laid off. There's less hours at work. Maybe you're on a job that's, based like you're self-employed. And then clubs, like if we're making less money, clubs usually make less money. And we know that overall, the most important thing is the hobby. Like whether Aquarium Co-op exists or doesn't exist, I will still be a lifelong hobbyist. And so making sure that we try and help where we can. We can get some of our products. We can't ship a truck full to an auction, but we can try and ship a little bit and try to earn a little bit of money. And I heard that the donations went well at the club, so that's good to see. Generate you some money, bring in more speakers, help grow the hobby. And then, when you guys need to buy something that is something we might sell, buying it from us helps keep the wheel turning, I guess. Like, it keeps going round and round. So, yeah. Best advice for growing on YouTube? I don't know. That's changed over the years. Now I would say what it takes today versus what it took yesterday, it took 5 years ago. I think now more than ever, there's more competition. You need to have, like, this has always been true. You got to have a personality people want to watch. You should only speak about things you think you know about, because you don't always know what you know. But if you go, hey, I've been keeping guppies for 10 years straight, you probably know a thing or two. And the quality of the content does matter. So like the camera does matter more than it's ever mattered. The audio matters more than it's ever mattered. And then the last thing I would say is pick a format and go with it. Are you doing shorts? Great, do only shorts. Are you doing live streams? Do live streams then, or live streams and videos, whatever that that is. But the wisdom that's out there right now of like use shorts to get people to watch your long format is just not really. It's not really the way it works, because the way I understand the people, the way they think it works or want it to work, of like, well, you know, like you watch a trailer for a movie, then you go watch the movie. Like, yes, but most shorts aren't a trailer. You go in with that idea going, well, yeah, I could do that. And then you go, no one wants to watch the trailer. They want to watch me dance or do something extreme, and that gets the views. So you're like, your trailer, okay, I got 500 views. If I do something that's not a trailer that has shock value and it gets 50,000 views, which one are you going to be likely to do? Do I make 500 views or do I make 50,000 views? But so you do the 50,000 view thing and you're going, yeah, but I'm getting millions of views every month. But it's not doing anything for the actual long form. So it's, in my opinion, very easy to make something go viral in shorts, but no one can remember who you are, what you did, and where it came from. And it's much harder to do long form where you build an audience where 375 people on a Sunday are listening to me rant about shorts. So you got to pick what you want to do and stick with it, and it's going to take you a while, and you got to master it. And you don't master it from reading or listening what I just said. That doesn't master it. It's you got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to go, that didn't work. This maybe worked. That really worked well. You do it again, and then it doesn't work. Like I thought I had it figured out, and now I don't have it figured out. Dang it. And I don't even have it figured out. If I had it figured out, I'd be way bigger than we are right now. There's always going to be, there's always is it a balance or something like that? I would say I can get us way more views, but that doesn't help educate and do the thing we want to do. So, you know, at some point you got to decide, am I doing this for views? What is the overall goal? And I think our overall goal is still the same, and that is we want to sell more crap. And whenever I say crap, it's easier to downplay what we do than it is to, like, I'm afraid that people are like, he's just a shill. All he'll do is talk about how his product is always the best. I do think we make really good products, but our main goal is to sell our stuff, keep our people employed, and to educate people and support the hobby. None of those go well with getting the most views. So I keep analyzing it. I keep going, if you made me choose getting 5 million views or 10 million views a month, or people want to watch us for 30 minutes at a time, I will choose the 30 minutes at a time. And that's what we've been doing. So when you try to do both, I've yet to see anybody make it work. You can see lots of channels with millions and millions of subscribers. They'll put out a short, get 1 million views. They'll put out a long form video, get 2,000 views. And you can see vice versa. The only person that I would say studied and watched that has made a transition that was successful would be Aquarium Info. Went from shorts only, not educational at all in my opinion, to long form video that is not educational at all in my opinion. Like it went from a shorts farm, got to a few million subscribers, to Mr. Beast meets animals. And it does get views. There's no doubt. But it's not even a fish channel anymore, really, in my opinion. Like the last video was, I turned my bed into a giant ant farm and then raising a bait shop crab as a pet. Like, anyone that's following the meta can know, like, that's a working model of go get a lobster or a crab from the grocery store, raise it up, everyone watch the same person do it, and there's all the people who have done it since, and it works every time. um but that's not what I want to do. I want to be in the hobby. I want to keep fish, I want to breed them, I want to share my knowledge, I want to learn from other people, and I want to hopefully be able to make products better while doing that. And so far, we've been lucky to keep it going, one day at a time. We implemented our first student scholarship this year at the SAS, which I think is a Sacramento Aquarium Society. You're going to find out. $500 to a Sacramento State biology major. She's going to use it to help travel to Costa Rica with a group from school to study cichlids. Nice. Yeah, so that's kind of how, you guys buy from us, or maybe you're a member. We donate some stuff from them. Maybe you went and you bought that at the SAS, so that money then went to there, and then a portion of that money helped fund that. Maybe they find a new cichlid, or they get some more information that helps you 10 years from now. So like it's a big round circle for a lot of that stuff, which is cool. Do you mean aquarium related only channels? Because channels like SciShow, I don't know, get hundreds of thousands of views on long form for educational videos. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know very many channels that do shorts and educational content together that perform at a level that makes sense. And if you don't make content, that doesn't probably make sense. But if I can make a short that gets 5 million views, and then I make the long form video of that and it gets 2,000 views, those aren't even in the same realm. And I have this belief that if I needed to teach you about, I don't even know, porosity of these pieces of sponge. What does PPI stand for? Pores per square inch. What do different PPIs look like? What are we actually talking about? Is this closed foam or open cell foam? To truly teach you about this, I believe it would take me more than a minute so that you would understand it. I can easily just say PPI means pores per square inch. The more pores you have, right, the finer the foam is. The less pores you have, the bigger the pores are, the less it is. And now you understand it. But I didn't tell you about how often will this 40 ppm clog versus this 15 ppi clog. Why are they different colors? A lot of times so you can spot without having to know. I didn't teach you that different manufacturers, this 40 ppi from a different manufacturer will be different than this 40 ppi, and they're all kind of estimating. I didn't teach you how often you're going to need to rinse them, how hard it is to clean fine versus coarse, how you might want coarse, medium, and then fine, so you're trapping bigger debris, then medium debris, then fine debris. There's so much to go through that I think we do a disservice by trying to explain it in 1 minute and then knowing that a complicated subject. So imagine trying to teach someone how to cycle an aquarium. We already know it's so difficult for people to even understand the aquarium cycle. How could we do it in a minute and do it justice versus spending 30 minutes doing it and then people still like, I still don't quite understand it. And so I think it's the difference between like shorts is like reading a quote. So I'm trying to think of a quote that will make sense here. Like, I can't think of a good quote, but a statement that like, oh, the wise man in the room is the one that says the least or something. If you don't spend time and think about why that could be true, you just take it at face value and you're like, okay, so people that don't talk are wise. Yeah, but that's not necessarily true. And then the next form of that might be you could read the book. You could read a whole book on wisdom. And then you could have the 10,000 hours or the 10 years or whatever. you live long enough to become wise on a subject, and then you understand what wisdom is. And like YouTube is a great example of that. Is people will get into YouTube, they will be into it for a year, they'll see some success, and they will think they have mastered YouTube, and then they don't realize, they don't realize that. Well, what do you do when the first adpocalypse happens? What do you do when the algorithm changes? What do you do when this thing happens? You gain that from wisdom of like, well, when I went through that, when I went through the boom of COVID, when I went through the bust of the advertiser apocalypse 2.0, when I went through the addition, like, remember, I mean, you guys must remember this. Remember when all of the rage on YouTube was stories? Like, it was all, if you weren't making stories, you weren't doing YouTube. And then they went to stories won't even exist on YouTube anymore. So you went from, maybe you were hiring people and you were learning formatting and your content and all that, and getting that up. And then to a year later, does not even exist on the platform anymore. And so, where was I going with that? It was, if it was only educational channels. I don't know. I can't study all of the channels out there, but I do study quite a few. And from what I can see, you can't accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish in shorts, and that is actually teaching someone something, or at least the concepts that I'm trying to teach. And it's not that, I won't say that nobody can't learn from shorts. It's that if I had 50 people in a room and I clicked play on a short once, how many people would have learned the PPI concept? I think a very small group of them. Now, if I then played a 5-minute video about the pores per square inch, how many people? Maybe half. Now I've played a 30-minute video about PPI. I've showed it in Cancer Filter. I've showed how much it gets clogged. I've showed all these things. Now maybe 45 out of 50 get it. And there might be 5 that never do. Like, they need to read about it, or they need to hands-on it, whatever it is. But if one of my main goals is truly education and making the hobby better, I just don't think shorts does that in its current form. That doesn't mean, and I made this prediction, and people who've been around a long time would know this. I made a prediction. I still think that prediction is true. I think at some point, all social media video will be vertical. At the time when I predicted it, I still thought vertical's going to win. I just didn't think it was going to be shorts. I still think a 30-minute vertical video will outdo at some point horizontal video because of people's phones. Naturally, we want to hold phones like this. It feels not natural. It's a lot more, ooh, you could drop it, to hold a phone like this, or to prop it up against something like that to watch it. So knowing that this is what the human wants to do, having a video, I think long form vertical video at some point will take over. And I do think it'll be the education. I think we'll watch fish room tours. I think we'll watch all the stuff, and it will make sense. It just hasn't happened yet. I'm watching this slow train wreck from someone who loves the horizontal format. You know, when Jimmy and I, he used to live with me and we were filming stuff, and I really was like, I honestly think if we were truly trying to, from what I see, the future is vertical video, we should film everything we do right now in both horizontal and vertical. And I think the one thing that's stopping it right now is TVs. TVs are more popular than ever for YouTube. However, they're making monitors and other things that are very tall vertical monitors to do things like watch shorts and vertical content. I think that's where we'll end up for social media long term. Might be 10 years away, I don't know, but I'm convinced that the short part of education is not going to be good. I think somehow we will we'll figure it out. I don't know how to explain it other than I was telling like Chris Lucup. I think a well-taken picture educates more than a short does. So one frame, the perfect frame, does a better job than 30 seconds or 15 seconds of frames on average. It's a weird thing to think about, but I think that's true. You see the right picture, it can tell a whole story. Where a short, somehow our brains don't try to tell the rest of the story. We watch it and take it for what it is. With one picture, we can wonder, I wonder about that. So, yeah. All right, well, I should probably go. I got stuff to do. I went for 2 hours and 24 minutes, which, by the way, will hurt me because the software we use to auto upload this to Facebook and other stuff, they won't let you load longer than 2 hour stuff. Great. But I like hanging out. I like talking with you guys. Hopefully you'll buy some stuff. That'd be helpful. If you need anything, Aquarium Co-op would sure love to put your money to work with what we do. But yeah. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. I'm gonna try. I should, unless something goes horribly wrong. I'm gonna try to get one of the Brazil videos out. I'm still going back and forth. I don't know what to do. Do I put out the first video? The first days of filming were not the most flashy. Like, I saw some cool stuff, but I was still learning what to do, and the areas weren't that clear. And then, like, in the middle, stuff got really good. Like, should I put out the flashy stuff first so you guys fall in love with Brazil, then watch the maybe subpar stuff later? Or should I tell the story of, like, here's what it was like day one, here was learning, so you come along for the whole 2 weeks with us. I haven't decided quite which way to go yet. I prefer the chronological, but then the YouTube part of me knows, like, yeah, but if someone watches the first video and they don't love it, they're not going to watch video 2. And if I know video 2 is better than video 1, maybe I should release video 2 first, but that doesn't make sense chronologically. So, yeah, do whatever brings me joy. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I still gotta put the clips together and I gotta voice it over. So I'm not sure how it works yet. Yeah, tease the good stuff. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to know. How much is playing the game too much? How much is just telling the story? I have a little bit of hope with telling the story. I really like to tell the story because it's counterculture to shorts and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, watch the first video. It's either A, gonna be amazing, or B, if you like it, the next video will be even better. So either way, you can't lose. Watch what we do, buy our stuff, hang out with us. And it's only 6:26 a.m. in Singapore. So go get some food. And thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.